My parents gave my sister a fancy villa and left me an empty parking lot. You can always sleep under the stars. They laughed. But when I turned the lot into a business, suddenly they wanted in. I should have known this dinner was a setup. My parents never invited me over unless they had a reason, usually to remind me how much of a failure I was. But I went anyway, hoping, maybe foolishly, that this time would be different. I'm a mechanic. Nothing special, but I'm good at it. I fix things, get paid, and stay out of trouble. My sister, Emily, is their perfect child. She's never worked a real job, always gets everything handed to her. If she burned their house down, they'd find a way to blame me. I walked in, and Emily was already there, sipping wine like she owned the place. Dad was reading the newspaper. Mom was in the kitchen, pretending to stay busy so she didn't have to look at me too much. Wow, Emily said, smiling. You actually showed up. Took a break from fixing tires? I ignored her and sat down. Mom said it was important. Dad finally put down the newspaper. It is. We've decided to divide our assets. Emily looked excited. She knew she was getting something big. Mom smiled at her. We're giving you the beach house, sweetheart. Emily gasped like she had won a prize. Oh my God, the one in Massachusetts. Mom nodded. Yes, it's yours now. I waited. There had to be something for me too, right? Dad turned to me, his face emotionless. And you, Logan, we're giving you the parking lot. Silence. I blinked. The what? The old lot on 8th Street, Mom said, waving her hand like it was a great gift. It's land. You can figure something out. Emily laughed. Oh my God, that's hilarious. She turned to me, grinning. At least you'll always have a place to sleep under the stars. Dad chuckled. That lot's been empty for years, but maybe you can set up a lemonade stand or something. Mom sighed. Logan, you always say you want to build something for yourself. Now's your chance. I stared at them. This wasn't even a bad joke disguised as kindness. It was just cruel. A memory came to me. I was 16, covered in grease from my first job at the auto shop. I was proud, holding my first paycheck, hoping my parents would be impressed. Emily was on the couch, whining about a new car for her birthday. Dad didn't even look at me. You're going to smell like oil for the rest of your life, huh? Mom shook her head. Well, at least he's useful. Maybe he'll fix your car for free someday. Emily never had to work. They bought her a new BMW that same week. And now, years later, nothing had changed. I took a deep breath and pushed back from the table. You're serious? Dad shrugged. You should be grateful we're giving you anything. Emily smirked. Maybe one day you'll make enough to buy a real property. They all laughed, like this was some kind of joke. I gripped the chair so hard my knuckles turned white, but I didn't yell or argue. I just nodded. Okay. Mom frowned. That's it? No thank you. I stood up. Oh, I'll make something of it. I looked at Emily. And when I do, don't come knocking. She rolled her eyes. Sure, Logan. Can't wait to see what you do with a piece of concrete. Dad shook his head. Always so dramatic. I walked out, not saying another word. Fine. They thought they could humiliate me. I'd show them. I'd turn that parking lot into something they'd never expect. And when I did, they'd regret it. The next morning, I filed for permits to allow food trucks. If this was just a piece of concrete, I'd make it a profitable one. Within a week, I had contracts with top food truck owners, tacos, burgers, coffee, even vegan bowls for the hipsters. I took out a small loan, not from a bank, but from my boss at the auto shop, a guy who actually believed in hard work. I used it to set up lights, seating, music, and banners to turn the place into something real. 3 weeks later, that empty lot was a food court, with live music and long lines. That's when the fun started. A month later, the place had gone viral on social media. I saw Mom walking up, wearing her expensive coat, looking around like she had walked into a dump. I was checking inventory when she came over. So, this is what you've done? She asked, wrinkling her nose at the crowd. I didn't even look at her. Yeah, you gave me trash, so I made it work. She exhaled sharply, clearly unimpressed. This isn't a real business, she said. It's just a phase, right? I laughed. A phase? It's making more money than Emily's influencer career. Her face twitched. And Emily walked up. She stopped dead in her tracks, staring at the place. What is this? She snapped. You turned this into, what? A flea market. I smiled. It's called a successful business. She scoffed. This isn't real money. I pointed to the crowd. Yeah, then why are all these people spending their fake money here every night? A few customers clapped. Emily's face turned red. Mom, say something, she whined. Mom cleared her throat. Logan, we're just concerned. This doesn't seem stable. I raised an eyebrow. Stable? Like the beach house you gave Emily for free? Emily cut in quickly. You can't sell this. It's family property. I laughed. Oh, now it's family property? Funny. I didn't hear that when you were laughing at me. Her jaw tightened. This isn't fair, she said. You didn't earn this. I turned to face her. Oh, really? Saying that to me. She crossed her arms, but she looked unsure of herself now. I'm just saying, selling it would be betraying the family. I tilted my head. When you dumped it on me as a joke, that wasn't betrayal. Mom seemed to struggle to find something to say, then she finally spoke. Well, she said carefully, if this business is doing so well, maybe we should talk about a partnership. I stared at her, then I laughed, loud, so loud that a few customers looked over. You're kidding, right? I asked for help, but you ignored me. You gave me nothing, humiliated me, and now that I've made something of myself, you want a piece of it? Emily crossed her arms. It's family money now. I stepped closer and looked her in the eye. You already got your share, live with it. Without saying another word, I turned my back on them and walked into my business. They thought they could break me, but I was just getting started. A few days later, my phone buzzed while I was at work. It was Mom calling. I ignored it. Then she called again, and again. I couldn't help but smirk. They needed something. By then, my food truck park was thriving. It was the hottest spot in town, making more money in a month than I used to make in a year at the auto shop. Suddenly, my family, who had laughed at me before, couldn't stop calling. A few days later, I saw Emily standing by the food trucks. She didn't look smug this time. She looked desperate. I raised an eyebrow. What are you doing here? Did your car break down? She sighed. I need to talk to you. I checked my watch. I've got 5 minutes. Make it count. She paused, then said, I need to sell the beach house. I was surprised. The same beach house you were showing off? She ignored that. The market is bad, and I need money fast. I smirked. Spending too much on vacations and designer bags? She stiffened. It's complicated. Please, just say you'll help. I leaned against a food truck. Help? How? She hesitated. I need $200,000 to cover debts before I can even sell the house. I whistled. That's a lot. Good luck with that. She grabbed my arm. You have the money, please. I pulled away. Oh, now you think my business is real enough to ask for a loan? Her face turned red. We're family, Logan. I laughed. Funny. Last time we talked, you called me a joke. Where's all that energy now? She closed her mouth, then said, I'll pay you back, please. I stared at her, then shook my head. No. Her eyes widened. No. I smiled. That's right. You and Mom and Dad said no when I needed support. So no. Emily, I won't bail you out. She took a step back, shocked, then exploded. You're just going to let me fail? I shrugged. Not my problem, and I walked away. But it wasn't over. A week later, I pulled into my lot and saw my parents standing there. Mom looked irritated. Dad looked tired. Logan, Mom started. We need to talk. I sighed. Let me guess, Emily ran to you, and now you're here to lecture me. Mom pursed her lips. This is serious. Dad spoke up. We need your help, son. I raised an eyebrow. Son? Oh, now I'm your son again. Mom sighed. Your father's business isn't doing well. We're in financial trouble. I fought the urge to smile. Oh, the family that gave Emily a mansion and me a parking lot is struggling? Who could have guessed? Mom glared. Don't be childish, Logan. I tilted my head. Childish? Like laughing at me when I was struggling. Dad groaned. We don't need a lecture. We need a loan. I rubbed my chin. How much? Mom swallowed. 500,000. I laughed. 500,000? Dad nodded, looking tired. You're successful now. You can afford it. I crossed my arms. Oh, now I'm successful. Mom snapped. Don't be a brat. We're family. I let that hang in the air. Then I smiled. Let me tell you something about family, I said, stepping closer. Family doesn't laugh at you when you're struggling. Another step. Family doesn't treat you like a joke. One more. And family doesn't show up only when they need something. Mom's face went pale. Dad mumbled, Logan, please. I exhaled and shook my head. You made your choices. I looked at my lot, my success, and I made mine. Then I stepped back. I'm not giving you a cent. Mom gasped. You ungrateful. I raised my hand. No, we're done. I turned to walk away. Logan, Dad called, if you walk away from this. I paused and turned back. If I walk away? You mean like you walked away from me? Silence. I nodded. That's what I thought, and I left. Next part. I thought I was done with them, but they didn't take no for an answer. A few days later, they tried to make trouble for me. It started with bad reviews online. 1 star, this place is overrated. The owner is rude. Another one. 1 star, the staff is unprofessional. The place smells like garbage. And another. 1 star, the owner is selfish and ungrateful. Don't support this business. I laughed. Nice try, Mom. Then, a city inspector showed up, saying someone complained my permits weren't up to code. I knew exactly who it was. Then came more complaints about my seating area, noise levels, and food safety. They were trying to shut me down with paperwork and fines. But I wasn't going to let them break me. I hired a lawyer and got everything in order. I doubled my marketing, threw more events, and invited influencers. I expanded the business. Then, Emily made the biggest mistake of all. It was a busy Saturday night, and the place was packed. That's when I heard her. Emily was shouting. This place is a joke. I turned to see her, looking drunk and messy. Mom was behind her, trying to stop her. Emily, stop, Mom said. But Emily was screaming. I can't believe you think you're better than us. A few customers turned and pulled out their phones. I smiled. Perfect. I walked toward Emily, keeping my voice calm. Emily, leave. She stumbled closer. You think you're better than us now, huh? I smirked. I don't think it. I just am. Her face twisted with anger. You're nothing. Nothing. Then, splash, I didn't even see it coming. She grabbed a drink from a random customer's table and threw it at me. Cold beer soaked my chest. The whole lot went silent. A second later, 2 security guards tackled her to the ground. People gasped and whispered. Mom screamed. Let her go. She's your sister. I brushed off my wet shirt and turned to my head of security. Call the cops. Emily's eyes widened in horror. What? No, Logan, don't. I crouched down and spoke quietly. Actions have consequences. 10 minutes later, the cops showed up, blue and red lights flashing. Mom was hysterical. You're ruining the family name, she yelled. I just laughed. Lady, you did that yourself. They put Emily in the back of the cop car, crying and begging. She looked just like I did years ago when they humiliated me, but unlike them, I didn't care. Mom turned to me, her voice shaking. This is your sister. Do something. I crossed my arms. Oh, like how you did something when you gave me nothing and laughed in my face. She had no answer. I turned and walked back to my customers. Hope the beach house is worth it, I called over my shoulder. Then I went back to my successful business. They wanted to see me fail. They were getting front row seats to my success. After Emily's arrest, I thought they'd finally get the message. I was wrong. A week later, Mom and Dad showed up again. This time, they didn't look smug. They looked desperate. I was in a meeting when I saw them standing awkwardly near the entrance. For years, I felt small around them. Never good enough. Now, I was in control. I finished my meeting, made them wait a little longer, then walked over with my arms crossed. You're back, I said, casually. Let me guess. Emily sent you because she's too embarrassed to face me. Dad cleared his throat. We need to talk, Logan. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, Like when you laughed in my face and gave Emily a mansion while I got nothing? Mom pursed her lips. This isn't about the past. I laughed. Oh, it's about the past. If you hadn't treated me like dirt, you wouldn't be here begging me for help. Her eye twitched. But she kept calm. We're in trouble. I already knew. Emily had spent all her money trying to keep up her lifestyle. Her beach house was almost foreclosed because she kept refinancing it. Dad's business was losing money because of the economy and bad partners. They were sinking, and I was their only hope. Dad sighed. Logan, we're family, and family helps each other. I burst out laughing. That's rich. You didn't care about family when you screwed me over. Now that you're broke, it's all about family. Mom stiffened. You have more than enough to help us. Why are you being so spiteful? I stepped closer and lowered my voice. Spiteful? Oh no. Spiteful would be me buying your house just to kick you out. Their eyes widened. Dad's face went pale. You wouldn't. I smirked. Wouldn't I? I've been waiting for this moment. After Emily's meltdown and your sabotage attempts, I knew you'd come crawling. So, while you were sinking in debt, I was buying property. Guess what? The bank listed your house for sale, and I bought it. Mom's face turned white. No, she whispered. You're lying. I pulled out my phone, showed the email confirming the purchase. Logan Reed. New property purchase confirmed. Dad's hands shook. You bought our house? I cocked my head. You mean the house you told me wasn't mine anymore? The one where you let Emily treat me like garbage? Mom grabbed my arm. Please, Logan, don't take her home. I pulled away. Now you understand what it feels like to have something taken away. She started crying, but I didn't care. Then, I looked at them, took a deep breath, and said, you know what? I'm not heartless. I'll give you the house. Mom gasped. You will. Dad sighed in relief. I smiled. Sure, on one condition. They nodded quickly. Anything. I pulled out a prepared contract and showed them. You can live in it, but I own it. You'll pay me rent every month. No delays. Mom's jaw dropped. Logan, you can't be serious. I leaned in. Oh, I'm deadly serious. Dad swallowed. How much? I named the price, high, but fair for the market, high enough that they'd feel the weight of it every month. Mom's face twisted with anger. You're charging us to live in our own home? She spat. No, I grinned. I'm charging you to live in my home. Silence. Dad sighed. We don't have a choice, do we? I shrugged. Of course you do. There are cheap motels in town. Mom glared at me, but she knew she had lost. Slowly, with trembling hands, Dad signed the contract. Mom grabbed the pen, pressing it so hard that I thought she'd rip the paper. When they finished, I took the contract, folded it, and put it in my pocket. Pleasure doing business with you. I turned to leave. Logan, Dad called. If you walk away from this. I stopped and turned back. If I walk away? You mean like you walked away from me? Silence. I nodded. That's what I thought, and I walked away.